And we're going to go ahead and get started.
All right.
Beau Bennett.
All right. All right. So, wait, don't start. I'm with Future Funders. We're changing branding a little bit, but essentially this one is the exclusive investors group. So there's kind of twofold with this, and I'll go through this. So our mission is that we are more than just a fund. So a lot of VCs you invest in, they take your capital, and you maybe go out to lunch a little bit here and there, but we want to be more than that. We want to be something that's very active and in the community. And so we made this mission. So we are more than just a fund. We are a group of change makers that meet regularly, invest often, and are active in our community. I love networking. I love getting out. Spencer, the same. With invest often is we take low capital, essentially first check, first money in situations, usually between 150 200K, just to kickstart a business. Spencer's been a founder. I've been a founder. We know the pain points of getting that first capital and understanding, how that works. This is kind of our investment thesis, where we focus on being the first money in, kind of what I was telling you about, MVP stage, helping them out, a little bit further than just idea, right? We want to see that traction built in there. And then we are backing entrepreneurs who are building the next breakthrough innovations. So space, tech, SaaS companies, different things like that. This is kind of the basics of how venture capital works. I won't go through all this because it could be a lot, but this is essentially how it works, right? Venture capital firm has a venture capital fund, and then the investments down there. You got LPs up at the top, and they kind of filter in that way. Okay, this is why what we're doing is so different. Usually, a traditional fund, they raise a certain amount, 30 million, 40 million, whatever it is, and then that round closes. And then what they do is they take that investment and they invest that over the next 4 or 5 years into different companies. $1 million here, $1 million there, 2 million here, all this stuff, right? So they're making maybe 3 to 5 investments, maybe tops a year, right, or over their time. What we're doing is called a rolling fund, and so we are essentially bringing in accredited and non-accredited individuals into our fund. The way that you structure that is bringing in non-accredited in there is just legal. You can organize that how you want. And then, so we provide a lowest cost of entry. So a lot of times when you invest into a fund, they're like, hey, to invest in the fund, it's 50K, 100K, 200K, and that eliminates essentially 98% of individuals that don't maybe even have that much to invest in that capital, right? And so our lowest cost of entry is $1,000 a month. Really doable for any person that's looking to get into the venture capital space, that doesn't know much about venture capital space, that wants to learn, how that space works and how to get started with that. More exit opportunities. So it's just simple math. The more companies you invest in, the more companies exit, the more chances of you getting your money back, right? And so often when you invest in companies, you say, hey, here's $1 million, put it into this company. The chance of either of those two going unicorn is very slim. But if we make 50 investments a year, the chance that you guys one of those go unicorn or multiple of those is much greater. Follow-on investment, and then the biggest thing that we have is no management fee. So a lot of times when you invest in a company or in a VC, there's a management fee of 2%, 3%, whatever that is. We've eliminated that just by a monthly flat rate fee. And so what that does, that allows the investor to then input more money into their investments and not taking the 2%, 3%, whatever that is. It's just a flat rate fee going that way. And so it's really straightforward. That does increase a little bit based on how much you invest, but it's very nominal. And then we've kind of make it fun. One of our things at Future Funders is, we're trying to change the VC market to be fun and innovative and do events often. So we've been able to make little statuses. You can see on the back of my shirt, 24. That's to 2024. It's the year we started. So People that invest in 2025 will have 25 on their shirt and 26 and so forth. Kind of make it fun. We got these, we got jerseys, we got cups, we got all this stuff to kind of make it fun that way. And so this is kind of how the investment process works, and we're always constantly refining this and making it better that way. On our website, futurefunders.vc, you can fill out a form if you're interested in being a member or applying or have a business. You'll meet with us, sign some paperwork, touch your funds, and like attend all the events. So we have weekly and monthly events, and then we have a quarterly all members get together and we do some fun stuff. So go boating, all this different stuff. So anyway, that's it. That QR code takes us to our website, and then Spencer's email is right there. So if you guys have any questions or myself, feel free to talk to either of us.
Right. Any questions for Beau and Spencer?
I know you said that you're like agnostic when it comes to like verticals or what have you, but are there any? Is there anybody in particular that you're looking for right now, and are you trying to?
That's a great question.
Well, we really like to look at whoever is willing to accept our deal, right? So we have a standard deal, and we're not going to deviate from that. So because we have specific terms, the startup has to want to match up with that specific thesis that we have. So that's the first step. And so we talked to a lot of companies who might be raising at a higher valuation, right? A typical seed round is between $5 and $8 million, right? And for them to come all the way down to the 1 million, it has to make sense for them. But it takes a lot of time to raise a round, right? Sometimes it's 6-12 months just to get your first check in on a typical seed round. And so the founders that we talked to, like at the Florida Venture Forum, for example, most of the companies that were coming up to us were saying we would take that deal because they need a bridge. They need $100,000, $200,000 to get to where they can actually finish raising their seed round. And so that's why it makes sense for them, and that's why we want to be that bridge for them and that first check. So it's more about the timing of the company as well as the founder, and we want to make sure that the founder is the right person for the job. So we really heavily focus on the jockey in all of our deals. And so it's really, do they have subject matter expertise? Have they been doing research with the university? Do they have some type of moat? Like really, really wanting to make sure that that founder is the right person to take this company to the next level.
Good question. Thank you.
I know you guys have mentioned you're kind of in that realm of friends and family, where a startup might be in their investment journey, and maybe you've tapped out your friends and family, maybe you've tapped out your credit cards, but you've got an idea that has maybe a little bit of traction, or you're ready to get that traction going. So I've heard you guys. Do you want to?
And if they have an MVP, that's great. If they have traction, that's even better. And there's like one of my clients, for example, has spent $750,000 on his business, right, and has a partnership with USF and has been doing research for 5 years, and has taken $0 of outside capital. That's the perfect company for us to invest in, right? So we would still be the first check into their deal, right? But they also have a ton of stuff going on for the company, so patents and stuff like that. So that's a unique scenario. That's not common, but we'll be looking for those types of and we have an AI that the applications run through first, and so we vet them that way. And then if they kind of rise to right now we're looking at every deal, but at some point when we scale, the AI will first vet those companies and then make sure that we at least want to have a follow-up meeting with them, so to speak.
You want to talk a little bit more about the memberships?
Sure. Actually, if you could go back to the other slide, there's a couple things that we can highlight on here as well. But were there any questions that we can answer otherwise?
Why the Phoenix logo?
Phoenix logo.
Phoenix logo. So essentially, it's rising from the ashes, right? And growing from something, rebirth, restart, things like that. I've always loved the Phoenix, the mythical creature, and so I just.
It's better than a unicorn, right?
Not everything's a unicorn.
Oh, sorry. Did you have one?
I did, but I didn't want to get in the way.
Nice.
From some of the things you said, it sounded like you're more focused on tech companies or tech startups. Well, are you open to other types of companies?
We are. Yeah, we are, certainly.
Yeah.
It's really regionally focused as well. So
Yeah.
we really want to support Orlando-based companies from Tampa to the Space Coast. You know, Central Florida is our stomping ground, but Florida, you know, as well. So we're going to be in Miami and Tallahassee. But, you know, we're hoping to do 50 deals a year at the height of this, right? And so we're going to be pretty prolific in Florida. And so that's kind of our thesis is to focus on Orlando, but then, you know, also outside of Central Florida.
All right. So you said you started this year. How many deals do you have?
We have 0 deals done today. Yeah, so we're in the fundraising, you know, stage of our own startup, right? So right now we're adding investors, we're grouping together, we're starting to formalize everything, and so it's actually only been a few months that we've started. So
You know, there's a company called Future Funders. You might want to give them a call.
Well,
they
and
can
with
help
that,
us, right? Yeah.
To go along with Scott's question, he asked was we have a membership side and we have the investor side, because we don't want to exclude anyone, and so the member side is, you know, you can attend our events, you can participate in our quarterly events, things like that, and so we have that, and then obviously the investor side, which actually, you know, get return from the investments and different things like that.
Yeah, like you mentioned, we just went through a whole rebrand, so actually these slides are outdated, and we have new graphics and things that will outline some of that for you, and we'll be adding it to the website soon. But basically, like you said, there's a non-investor membership, so you don't have to invest. You can just join, you can hang out with us, you can come to all of our exclusive events. We also have public events where obviously we're trying to let anybody come that wants to learn more about it. So we have those 3 different style events. So fully public, then we have our, you know, members only events, and then we have our investor only events. And the investor only events are going to be like actually watching the pitches, voting on the companies, and being a part of that process. And so that's where it becomes very active for an angel investor who maybe has never done angel investing before, or doesn't have $500,000 sitting on the sidelines, but they might, you know, be earning an extra few thousand a month, you know, and that's more typical, right, than someone who might be able to take 50K into one company, right? And that's what the venture capital and the typical model has asked, right? Do you have a huge amount of money that you can just give to us and then wait 7 years for your first return, right, or no return, right? And so we believe that there's a different model. We believe that you should be able to invest month to month, right, as it comes in and as you have it, and then we will be able to invest in those companies, you know, very quickly and with speed. And so it's really important to us to have that pre-committed capital. So we're not putting these companies through a lot of due diligence kind of time, which doesn't necessarily need to happen. But what a lot of funds are doing is they're saying, hey, we have this deal, and then they'll go out to their investor base and they'll say, who wants to do this deal? And that takes a lot of time to coordinate that and organize that. So if we already have the money, we can write the check, we can be faster.
All right, I think we have 2 more questions, Zoom, and then you have one in the hand too. I got you.
Me? So,
Yeah, go ahead.
do you guys have digital infrastructure, like web app, to put in that?
No, we just, you know, do everything with Excel.
Yeah, a website, Excel.
We do have a platform called Veravent that we use to manage the cap tables of all the companies, and then to, you know, accept the investments, and then to distribute the funds. So we use several platforms internally, but you wouldn't see those except for
App Store.
except for your reports. Yeah.
So we chatted on LinkedIn a little bit. I love what you guys are doing. I love the concept. It's really so, you know, we own Jabber, and it's huge. It's a $6 million website, and we're having massive growth right now. Are you trying to stay in that $5 to $8 million valuation range, or are you
We want to
considering
be
companies too that are
We want to be
higher?
lower, actually. Yeah, we want to be at the 1 million because we believe that if we can take that percentage of equity, it's similar to the investments that the typical venture capital rounds are doing. So they're getting 10 to 15% of the company, right? When they put $1 million in at 5 million or 8 million, right? They're getting in that range. We're also getting that range of equity, but for less money, right? And so we believe that we have more upside. And so we're talking about more exit opportunities because we're coming in first. We can then potentially exit at the seed round, potentially exit at the A round. We have more times that we can leave that deal. But we also have a follow-on investment fund that's part of every investment. So every dollar that we take in, we reserve some of that so that we can follow on, invest into those companies later on. And so if we don't want to leave that deal, you know, when someone else comes in, we can actually reinvest and keep our equity at that same percentage. So because we're coming in at the lowest cost of equity, we believe we have more upside, right? Because we spent less money to be in the deal for the same percentage of equity. And so we put our companies through accelerators, right? Industry-specific accelerators, and being that we've been founders and been through accelerators without any money, we know it's important to have some money when you're going through accelerators so you can actually perform and do better, and hopefully get from your pre-seed $1 million valuation to your $5 million, $8 million seed round with some traction, with some revenue, with some customer, everything that the other VCs are looking for. So our goal would be, if you're one of our portfolio companies, to kind of bring you into another, situation where one of our partners can invest in you. So.
What kind of range are you looking at for investing? Where are you starting to, like, what's
What's the last part?
your ceiling? How high? How much?
Yeah, it's probably 200,000. Like that would be a stretch for us because we really want to keep, the valuation low.
So you're like 50 to 200.
Right. Yeah.
100 to 200.
Yeah, I would say like more like 50 to 150.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Hopefully we have a huge member base, right? I mean, that's
Huge member base, investing all over Florida, and have hundreds in our portfolio.
And we actually just did an exercise. Well, for 5 years, it was like at least 100 members.
Yeah.
And that could be non-investing members as well as investing members. And we would have done, at least 200 deals by that point. 40 a year.
Yeah. I mean, thank you.
And our last question, what can we as the Orlando chapter of 1 Million Cups do for you?
Certainly would love for everyone to come attend our events. Right now we're still organizing the cadence of those events, but we try to post them within the week. We're going to try to get ahead of that a little bit, post them a little bit earlier on. As some of you know, it's like, hey, we're having an event tomorrow, and everyone's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's great. So we're going to try to promote them a little bit better, and we'd love to have you all out there. But if you are interested in investing, of course, we believe that we're the most accessible fund in the world right now and with the most innovative model. And so if that was something you're interested in, again, $1,000 a month is the minimum, but we'd love to have you join, and we think that it's going to be really great for Orlando, really great for startups like a lot of the folks that present here, and that's why it's a big, proud thing for us to be able to sponsor 1 Million Cups. So, thanks.
Thank you. And I'm going to reiterate, we really appreciate the sponsorship, and I'll say what that is. This does cost us a little bit to be in this space. The deal that we have with Tech Hub and the primary leaseholders and UCF is we're paying an amount every month, and Future Funders is covering that for us right now. So we really appreciate that. We're going to have in our information, because they're our primary sponsor, and when you do have events, we'll be promoting them here, and we'll be promoting them through our social media as well.
Scott's part of the team, so don't let him fool you. I'm not leaving. I'll be here after 3.
All right, and now it's time for Pamela. Ready?
Yeah.
Well, good, because you have 2 choices. You're either ready or you're doing it anyway.
Oh, sorry, which side?
Good morning.
Morning.
I first and foremost want to thank everyone for being here to listen to the voices of new entrepreneurs because your support matters and you're appreciated. My name is Pamela Belitch. My background is in mental health advocacy, youth mentorship, and performing arts. I am the founder of a nonprofit that was established in 2019 called Right to Be Seen, Inc. This is a teenage theater production company local to Central Florida. We serve ages 12 to 19 within the community. And our mission is to amplify diverse youth voices through the performing arts as a means toward cross-cultural acceptance and ultimately behavioral health crisis prevention. We provide free collaborative arts workshops in creative writing and improvisational theater. They're designed to help youth's unique voices to be heard, have them feel seen, and practice being accepted for. We are different because we focus on emotional processing and creating community and dialogue through our performances, rather than a focus on hard technical skills training within performing arts disciplines. Because statistically, 1 in 6 youths between age 8 to 15 are already experiencing symptoms of a mental health condition each year. Lack of social acceptance has negative physiological impacts on our young leaders. This may result in challenges with cognitive functioning, prosocial behaviors, and self-efficacy, deteriorating a youth's ability to believe their own voice matters and that they can make a difference. Long-term consequences can include negative physical health, lower academic grades, or even altercations with law enforcement within the community. Good thing is, youths in our programs report having experienced learning skills from us that include anger management, stress relief, working through conflicts, creating new choices, stepping outside of their comfort zones, and having a community that supports their own voices. I've had a lot of success through the past 5 years. I've also presented through 1 Million Pups before, and I've learned a lot from this community, but today I'm here to present on some challenges I'm facing and some ways the community may be able to help. These are some photos from our first year in operation, and my challenge here was I worked for free for my first 6 months because I was scared that if I asked for funds from the organization I was working for, they would say no to giving me the opportunity. And my second and third year, I successfully applied for and received grant funding that was local, that just ended within the past year. And through this funding, was able to open a lot of doors as far as who we were able to work with, where we were able to work in the community, help get our name out, help generate revenue for the company and for myself. I was able to pay some rent, thank God, but it wasn't enough to be sustainable long term. Because of the fact that I'm 5 years in and I'm still right now the chief everything officer of the organization, and a lot of that is to do with I am a theater major. I don't have a business background, and I just figured I'd start from where I am and sort of reverse engineer the success. The founding members of my board were all the teachers and artists and the friends who wanted to help just get the names on paper to start applying for the grants, but they don't have business acumen and they have been inactive and unable to support with development of the organization. So I really need to start being serious about getting that foundational team in place as well. As many businesses, when they're first starting out, I was funding the majority of expenses out of pocket without separating personal from business expenses. That has led to me not always ensuring that the company has its own backing financially. This is our first year that is causing tangible problems for me. One thing is that just the cost of our liability insurance for the building we're going to be working out of this year, the annual expense for that is $600, which is $50 a month, which is really nominal if you have it to give. But for us, it's a problem right now because this is our first year that the company is operating at a deficit. And main reason for that is how I have been being reckless with the money, because of the fact that the programmatic funding was never leveraged through asking for funds operationally, because I never charge for programming. I don't have a business model set up. I'm working on the ideas for that now and validating my customer discovery and all of that for who's going to pay, what's their ideal solution for it. But to further complicate this challenge, without providing details, I had experienced a workers' compensation injury this last year that has at this point placed me out of work without pay for the past 6 months. And as employers, I have started to become reckless with providing me my livelihood. At this time, I'm also lacking the ability to fund personal expenses. So this is the year that I really want to turn my business into my source of income rather than just my passion project. It doesn't matter programmatically how much success you have. If your business isn't making money, you're not a successful business, and we all know that. So here are some ways that can help, and my main needs at this point are assistance with sales strategy, just strategy and implementation, right? And that team building piece. So particularly for me at this point, assistance with sales strategy, development strategy, and recruitment strategy. Recruitment both internal for that foundation team, at least at this point, my non-paid volunteer board, that first help to get the funds in the door, and reach out to the community about what we're doing. But then also recruitment strategy as far as reaching more youth participants in the community. My biggest challenge on sales right now, besides not having a sales model at all, is not having clarity on who my paying customer segments are, right? So I do know a lot of that will come through customer discovery, targeting the community for surveys, as well as honing messaging clarity about what's that unique sales proposition. This is also something that is very difficult for me at this time without a team because I, as one person, can only reach so many people. I do have some ideas on specific ways that you folks can reach out to help, but I can leave that for what can the community do for you. Right now, I'll open up to questions from you guys, and I thank you for listening.
Nice job. May I have some questions for Pamela?
So, the teams, are you putting on plays, or
Yes.
are you selling event tickets to these plays to generate revenue?
Yes, I have been selling it as not really been selling anything. This is my first month like actually practicing to tell people like this is what we charge or like we need donation sales because. But I've been just promoting all the shows as it's donation like it's free of cost, but the suggested donation price is. We had a suggested donation price last show of 25 per seat. We had an audience of 30. Even my VP and her mother were in the audience and didn't pay for a ticket. So it's just a problem.
I know you and I have talked about this before. How are you learning asking for these things? What steps are you taking to get better at this yourself?
So this month I was able to be a part of an Innovation Day workshop with Rally C, which is for helping social enterprise organizations. Some of the folks that work with Rally also work over at Credo Conduit in my current office space. But so they helped a lot with at least that first step for me to be able to understand better, like what kind of questions do I need to be asking to survey the community, and also that my very first next steps are that knowing what to charge, like what makes sense for like not just like throwing out like obviously I knew this already, but like that's my very first next step. One of them is like knowing what to charge for like not just throwing out numbers, but like knowing like this is my costs per this is my cost of goods, my cost of services, what have you. This is my costs for facilities for my team. This is my rate per what's in the market, and then matching that with the individual's own values. So I learned that it has to match what someone is willing to pay for has to match a pain point or a gain point, basically. So like, are we helping their kids to thrive? Are we saving them time? Are we saving them money? Stuff like that, and just like what is their ideal solution? And so I have ideas of who my customer segments are, and for my company, the customers are different from the beneficiaries. So the paying customers might be the parents. It might be it can't be the donors. Donors and customers are two separate words for verbiage. I have to learn that. But it might be the parents. It might be youth advocates within the community, just who are interested in maybe lowering crime rates, lowering behavioral health crises, and are just willing to back that. But the beneficiaries are youth, so they're not able to be the ones to pay. But I need to have clarity about like this is how it benefits our participants, but then how does I appreciate y'all. It's the benefit for the participants is going to be different than the benefit for the customers. So I need to gain clarity on that from actually talking to my community. And so I've been searching to develop ways to know where to go to access those folks who are going to be completing surveys as just one step. That was a fairly long answer. Thank you for your patience.
How much revenue do you need to generate to be able to to operate not at a loss and to like support yourself? And how much of that are you looking to get through donations or grants? And how much are you looking to get through other like types of
So just based on projections, the needs programmatically have been pretty low. Operationally, I haven't honestly considered myself yet as like what I need to be able to like actually be sustainable. But programmatically, our last program ran us $1,500 just for renting out the venue space. Our next program, we're in the process of getting the yes for the grant, but we're projected to be $5,000 for the program costs. And right now, the way I'm looking at modeling it for sales is to continue to ask for most of the support to that sounds terrible. Don't ask for most of your support to come through grants and donations because it's not sustainable. But I'm looking to continue to seek that the programmatic expenses be covered by grants, and then to have the families who are in the programming to subsidize that. So to say that I have a backer for this youth in this program, say it costs $175 for X amount of weeks per individual, like $75, $175. For this may be really low, but right now I have it as, let's say, $175 per individual for 8 weeks, and that's a lot of weeks. But we're also only operating 2 hours for 2 nights a week, so we're not like these performing arts summer camps that'll run like 8 to 5 for 5 days total in a row, and they're charging a couple $100 per kid for the program. But and then just to be able to say like, this is why we're charging, and then if you can't afford, we have a scholarship for you. So that's what I want to do with it. Does that answer your question?
Sort of. I was looking more for like a year number.
Okay.
Like what do you need per month or
I
per
don't
year?
have an answer to that yet, which is something that I need an advisory on for finance. So just to be able to get folks into the room to help me like know my numbers would be a great thing right now.
Okay. Are you set up as a 501c3 nonprofit, and that's active status right now? Okay. So did you set up? And I know you said no secondary questions. Did you set up sponsorship packages for companies that are looking for an organization like yourself to make a donation to? They just need to know.
I have it on paper, and so I think it's more about that strategy of like that outreach for donor solicitations. My best that I have going on right now is I've compiled like a cold call email list from people that I've contacted in the past.
Yeah, just a recommendation. I think you need a little bit more clarity in your logo,
Okay.
so people can really identify it. That's the first thing that hits them when they see it. You barely can read those things,
Yeah, the logos.
Really
Our
put some
logo.
more emphasis on what your project is.
We have a black and white as our logo, and this was like a background screen, but it's just these words, and then it's just all black and white. Sorry, I don't mean to. Was there more to your comments? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I just, the logo talks to you, right away you connect with people. Because if it's something you have to guess, perhaps you're intimidated to ask questions about it because you don't want to offend anybody. I think that takes a little bit more work to get engaged. That's what I'm trying to say.
Thank you.
Well, first, congratulations for your work. And like you said, what I would suggest is it seems to me that your business B2C you expect the fees come from the people who are like, but probably a B2B approach for you to raise more, and like as you said, probably
reinforcing her suggestion. Probably these companies will give you more money faster, and they will also be beneficiated about the side and reach all the goals that you.
May I ask a question back to that?
Absolutely.
Okay. So would you also suggest to still post and ask to families to give donations extra if they can to supplement the operational costs?
Yeah, it can be equal to the families, but mainly other companies that can be benefited to be or a brand, if your work, like I don't know, like even supermarkets that they say that, oh, here, come buy with us because we have your approaches like right obscene, So they will support you. They can use your name, your brand, as something that they support.
I was just curious as to how are you reaching out to people?
Reaching out to customers or participants?
Yes.
Yeah. My strategy right now with customer surveying, I feel embarrassed about because I don't know that it's a good one. But just going into community spaces that are like markets and shopping malls and just telling people this is what I'm doing. Would you mind taking a few moments to answer questions about it? And then for the participants, it's online casting call boards that are specific for performing arts is one way. Another way has been actually through homeschool groups on Facebook, and then the majority has been through other community partnerships with youth serving agencies that already have kids in their programs.
So you have a social media presence?
We're on Instagram most of the time, and also Facebook is our other biggest. We're on LinkedIn as well, but I don't really use it. And the website, of course.
So I don't know how this plays in with the 501c, but I almost feel like you should have the theater company and you should turn that into a business, just like youth sports and everything else. You mentioned the summertime camps, and like I've done that with my kids, right? And I'm not super familiar with like normal school time year programs for theater. Like I'm very familiar, tons of people do it in the summer, but I feel like there's this whole base of probably kids who would want to do that continually. And so I feel like maybe you need to build that community, and then you need to have the scholarship type side where you're trying to reach those at-risk kids and they apply for a scholarship and whatever, get approved. But you kind of set up a business of having this theater company where you're trying to go to elementary schools, middle schools, and you're trying to recruit kids for that paid, like you said, 8-week program, and make it a bigger thing and get more people involved in the community, and then you'll have more opportunities to reach the at-risk kids as well, and like be able to help fund them. And I'm like try to make it a bigger like production than just the at-risk kids, so that you can help fund and support that side of things.
Yeah, that's what one of my peers recently told me was their suggestion was that you don't want to be exclusive to other demographics because they're your target beneficiaries also. And then basically thank you.
I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you for the questions. We do want to be conscious of everybody's time, especially since everybody's.
These are some great ways to contact me outside of here today as well.
Our final question, which you alluded to, what can we as the Orlando chapter of One Million Cups and our community do for you?
I would like to have some feedback on my customer discovery survey that I just generated. I'm not confident about it. So feedback on like the quality of the questions, but also for the types of folks that I'm looking to have the survey data from. It would be just folks who are connected to teens, either you're a parent of a teen, youth advocate, you're a coach, you're a pastor, what have you, but specifically for teens that have an interest in performing arts or in creative writing. Because I want the folks that are already interested in it, not the folks that are like, we get those kids too, but not just the folks that are like, oh, my mentor said I need to do this, and then they kind of just like miss when is lunch. So surveys and feedback on surveys, and the other thing right now is advising on my financials. It's a pain point for me.
And those surveys, can they get to those on rightbeseen.org?
No. So, but if you send me a text or an email, whatever is your comfort zone for communicating with folks, I can send you a link. It's a Google Doc. If you want to just say, hey, I'm interested in helping to answer a survey or to provide feedback on it. If there's folks here that would be jazzed up about like, hey, let's get together and like have a meeting set up to help with an advisory for you, even if it's like one time, and just the money piece, that would be amazing. So you can talk to me about that as well.
Thank you, Pamela. Everybody for some great participation, great questions. We really appreciate that. And like you said, it's the interaction, it's the inspiration from the audience and the community that really helps our entrepreneurs as they're building their businesses and moving to that next step. Again, follow us on all the socials. Say something nice about us. Or like I say, if you didn't like what you saw today, go to somebody's account who you don't like and say something nice about us there. Take the conversations that you've had out into the community and go have coffee at a local coffee shop. I always say the big boys are doing just fine. So shop local, drink local, and help support other small businesses in the community. After today's meeting, Dan, if you had a good experience and you'd like to maybe leave a 1-minute testimonial for our social media for One Million Cups, you can get together with Stoic Dan and he'll record that for you. We appreciate that. And that's all we got. We will see everybody next week. Thank you all very much.